The door to Suite 2904 opened without a knock. 5 pairs of eyes snapped toward it in perfect unison. I was closest. Ethan Reyes, 32, right hand, to Kang Jamin, the man who could make a room go silent with nothing but a glance. Tonight, my gaze, cold, unblinking, locked on the intruder like a scope. She stepped inside, young, 23 maybe, black skin, curly hair, knotted high, hotel uniform, crisp, but creased from a long shift. Name tag, Maya. Empty silver tray balanced on one palm. She took 2 steps, then froze. Her eyes swept the room in one heartbeat. 5 men in black suits opened metal briefcase, spilling banded cash, laptop glowing with port schedules and container numbers disassembled, Glock 19 laid out like a surgical kit, slide frame magazine, all neatly aligned. The silence was absolute. You could hear the air conditioning hum. She blinked once, looked back at the brass plaque on the door 2904, then at the room again. Oh, she whispered. Wrong room. No one laughed. Ji-hoon stood up, 6'4", built like concrete. He walked over, reached past her, and pushed the door shut. Click. The electronic lock engaged with finality. Maya swallowed hard. Listen, I'm so sorry. The order slip said 2904, more wine for the suite. I must have misread the floor. I rose from my chair, 6'3" shoulders broad, suit tailored, sharp. I moved toward her slowly, deliberately. She took one instinctive step back, tray trembling in her grip. Your name, I said, voice low, calm, the tone that gets answers without repetition. Maya, Maya Thompson. You work here part-time, just graduated law school, waiting on bar results, filling shifts to pay rent. I studied her. She was terrified, breathing shallow pupils wide, but she wasn't crumbling. No tears, no begging, no blind panic. Her eyes flicked again, gun money laptop, my face quick calculating, assessing escape routes, weighing words. Reading the power dynamic in the room faster than most people twice her age would have managed. That interested me more than it should have. Kang Jamin, seated at the head of the table, spoke without raising his voice. She saw everything. Min Suk drew his sidearm in one smooth motion. The slide racked forward metallic snick that echoed like a gunshot in the quiet. Maya's hands shot up instantly. The tray clattered to the carpet. Wait, 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 wait. Her voice cracked but held. I swear I won't tell anyone. I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw, but I won't say a word. Please. I just want to leave. I'll forget I was ever here. No one answered. In our world, witnesses don't get second chances. They vanish. Quietly. Cleanly. No cameras, no paper trail, no body. But I kept looking at her. She was shaking hands raised, breathing ragged, but her gaze stayed locked on mine, not pleading, reading, trying to anticipate my decision before I made it. Clarity in the middle of terror, defiance buried under fear, something else too, maybe hope. That was rare. Jamin tilted his head. What do we do with her? Min Sok answered in Korean, flat. Too risky. She saw the cash, the route's the weapon. We can't let her walk. I didn't move. eyes still on Maya. She was trembling but still standing straight hands up, waiting for the verdict, like she already knew the odds. Then I spoke the words that surprised the entire room. Wait. Every head turned. Haman raised one eyebrow, the smallest gesture, but it meant everything. Explain. I kept my voice even. She is hotel staff. If she disappears tonight, the police pull every camera feed on this floor, shift logs, employee records, keycard swipes. They interview every person who worked tonight. That creates noise. We don't need noise, not with the shipment arriving tomorrow morning. The room went still again. It was the truth. Jamin's operation was still new in New York. Federal attention was the one thing we couldn't afford. Not yet. Jamin studied Maya for several long seconds, measuring, calculating, then looked back at me. A small smile touched his lips. Not pleased, amused, the kind that said he was willing to hear me out. Then she stays, he said. Maya blinked. What? Jamin pointed one finger at me. She's your responsibility now. I turned to her. Congratulations, I said dryly. You just became the safest prisoner in Manhattan. Her eyes widened. She didn't speak, just stared at me, trying to decide whether I had just bought her a few more hours or condemned her to something far worse than a quick bullet. Minsock holstered his weapon. Jamin waved a hand. Take her downstairs. Room 2107. Empty. Keep her there until we decide the rest. I nodded once. Then I gestured for Maya to follow me. She hesitated, looked at the other men, at the gun now back in its holster, at the briefcase still open on the table. For a heartbeat, I thought she might try something desperate, bolt for the door, scream in the hallway, anything. But she didn't. She bent, slowly picked up the fallen tray with shaking hands and walked past me into the corridor. We took the service elevator down to the 21st floor. The hallway was silent carpet, muffling every step. I swiped the key card for 2107, a standard suite king bed, small sitting area, minibar bathroom with marble counters. No balcony, windows that only cracked open a few inches. One door, one way in, one way out. I stepped inside after her and closed the door. The lock clicked softly. She stood in the center of the room, still clutching the tray like a shield. Her breathing was shallow, but controlled. You're not going to tie me up or anything, she asked, voice small but steady. Not tonight, I said, but don't touch the door. Key card only. I have the only one. She set the tray on the coffee table with careful movements, then wrapped her arms around herself. So, what happens now? I just stay here until you decide to kill me. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. She looked at me for a long moment. Then why am I alive? Because disappearing a hotel employee tonight is stupid, and I don't do stupid. She gave a short, bitter laugh. Great. So I'm alive because murder is logistically inconvenient. Something like that. She sat on the edge of the sofa, knees pressed together, hands clasped tight in her lap. I just graduated law school, top of my class. I was supposed to start applying to firms next month. Instead, I'm What a hostage temporary asset, I corrected. She looked up. You don't talk like the others. I'm not like the others. You're American, born and raised in Queens, but you work for a Korean boss. Long story. She nodded slowly, filing that away. Then she asked the question I'd been waiting for. You're really Mafia, aren't you? I didn't flinch. That word is dramatic. So what do you call it? Business. She exhaled through her nose, a sound halfway between frustration and disbelief. Perfect. I just graduated law school, and the first real job I walk into is a mafia business meeting. I almost smiled, almost. You walked into it by mistake. Yeah, she muttered. Worst wrong turn of my life. I moved to the minibar, pulled out a bottle of water, and tossed it to her. She caught it one handed without breaking eye contact. Drink, I said. You're shaking. She twisted the cap off and took a long swallow. Some color returned to her face, but her hands still trembled when she lowered the bottle. What happens now? She asked when she could speak again. You keep me locked up forever, or until we figure out if you're a threat. I'm not a threat, she said quickly. I swear, I don't even know what I saw. I can forget it. I can pretend tonight never happened. You can't forget I told her. Not really. And we both know that. She looked down at the bottle fingers, tracing the label absently. Then what? You can't just keep me here. People will notice. My shift ends at 6. My roommate will wonder where I am. My phone. Your phone's already taken, I said, and your shift just got extended indefinitely. Her shoulders sagged. For the first time, real resignation flickered across her face. Not the sharp panic from upstairs, but something quieter, deeper. I just wanted to pay rent, she whispered. I just wanted to wait for bar results and get a real job. I wasn't supposed to end up here. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. After a long silence, she looked up again. Why did you stop them upstairs? Why didn't you let them shoot me? I leaned against the wall. Because disappearing a hotel employee tonight is stupid. And I don't do stupid. That's it, she asked. Logistics. That's it. She studied me. I don't believe you. Doesn't matter what you believe. It does to me, she said quietly, because if it's just logistics, then tomorrow or next week, when logistics change, I'm dead. But if there's something else, maybe I have a chance. Smart girl. I pushed off the wall. Get some sleep. Bathrooms through there. Minibars stocked. Don't touch the phone, it's disabled. Don't try the door. I have the only key card. She nodded slowly. I turned to leave. Wait, she said. I paused at the door. What's your name? She asked. Ethan. Ethan, she repeated, testing it like it was something fragile. Thank you for not letting them shoot me. Don't thank me yet, I said. This isn't over. I stepped into the hallway and let the door close behind me. The lock clicked. I stood there for a moment, listening to the silence on the other side. My phone buzzed. A text from Jamin. Keep her close. We may need her brain. I stared at the screen, then I pocketed the phone and walked to the elevator. I didn't know why I had stopped them. Logic said she was a liability, but something in her eyes, clarity, defiance, maybe even hope, had made me hesitate. And in my line of work, Hesitation sown is dangerous, but tonight it had kept her alive. The next morning hit like a cold slap. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours, too busy replaying the night in my head, the way Maya's eyes had stayed steady even when Minsyuk's gun came out. I showered fast, changed into a fresh black suit, checked my phone. No new orders from Jaemin. That silence could mean anything: approval, suspicion, or he was just letting me stew. I took the service elevator down to 21. The hallway was still dead quiet, the kind of hush only high end hotels manage after midnight. I swiped the keycard for 2107 and pushed the door open. Maya was already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed in yesterday's uniform, hair retied, looking like she hadn't closed her eyes either. The minibar water bottle sat empty on the nightstand. The room smelled faintly of hotel coffee. She'd used the machine. She looked up when I entered. No flinch, no wide eyed panic, just tired recognition. "Morning," she said dryly. I closed the door behind me. "You didn't try the door." "Where would I go?" she answered. "Elevator needs a key card. Stairs are probably watched. Even if I reached the lobby, what then?" "Tell security I saw a Mafia meeting. They'd call the police. You'd know in 10 minutes. Then I'd really be dead." I nodded once. "Smart." "I went to law school," she said. "I know how leverage works." I moved to the window, looked down at Manhattan, waking up, taxis crawling, pedestrians spilling onto sidewalks. Life pretending last night never happened. "Boss wants to see you again," I said. She exhaled slowly. "Of course he does." I turned back to her. "You're going to help us with what legal matters." She laughed, a short, incredulous sound. "You're recruiting a hostage as your lawyer." "Temporary," I said, "until we trust you." She studied me for a long moment. "And if I say no, then we go back to the original plan." She swallowed. "Right. Logistics." I didn't answer. She stood up, smoothed her uniform like it was armor. "Okay, let's go." We took the service elevator up to 29. The hallway was empty. I knocked once. The door opened immediately. Jamin was already at the head of the table, fresh coffee steaming in front of him. The briefcase and gun were gone. The laptop was open, screen dark. He looked at Maya. "You said you studied law." "Yes." Her voice stayed level. "Top of my class." "Interesting." He leaned back. "Then maybe you're useful." She didn't flinch. "Useful?" How Min smiled. "Small cold. You help us with legal matters." Maya blinked. "You're asking a law school graduate who walked into the wrong room to clean up your Mafia paperwork. Temporary," he repeated, "until we trust you." She glanced around at the other men, at me. No exit. Finally, she spoke, quiet but clear. "Okay." Jamin nodded once. "Good. Ethan will show you the files. You start today." He dismissed us with a wave. I let her out. In the hallway, she stopped. "I need clothes, food, my laptop if I'm going to do real work." I looked at her. "You'll get what you need." She met my eyes. "And if I do good work, if I prove I'm not a threat, then maybe you walk out of here alive." She nodded slowly. "Deal." I set her up in a small converted conference room on the 28th floor next to my office. Locked windows. One door, desk facing Midtown, No internet except what I controlled. No phone, no email, just a secure laptop with encrypted files I unlocked one at a time. She started with the basics, reviewing shell company contracts, spotting red flags in shipping manifests, flagging clauses that could trigger IRS audits or customs holds. She read fast, asked precise questions, caught errors even our old lawyer, now retired after a generous payout, had missed. 10 days in, she looked up from a thick stack of documents. This Jersey import route has a double layer of LLCs, but the beneficial owner is listed twice under different aliases. If the feds trace it, they connect the dots in under 48 hours. I leaned over her shoulder. She was right. How'd you see that? I asked. Pattern recognition, she said without looking up. And I read a lot of money laundering business law in third year. You're good, but you're not invisible. I took the file and walked out without a word. She didn't gloat. She just kept working. Routine settled in. I brought her breakfast every morning, coffee, bagel, fruit from the hotel kitchen. Lunch was takeout. I grabbed on the way back from meetings. Dinner, sometimes I ate with her in her room, sitting across the small table, talking about nothing and everything. She asked questions, not directly about the business, at least not yet, but about me. How long have you been doing this? She asked one night over cold sesame noodles. 10 years. You don't look like someone who wanted this life. I shrugged. Want it or not, it's the one I have. She twirled noodles around her chopsticks. You ever think about leaving? People like me don't leave. She looked at me, really looked. I don't believe that. No one had ever said that to me before, not like she meant it. I changed the subject. You're good at this, the legal stuff. I'm good at a lot of things, she said. Law just happened to be the one that paid. She told me about growing up in Queens, single mom, working night shifts as a nurse, dad gone since she was 6. Scholarships that carried her through undergrad and law school. She wanted immigration law help people who came here the hard way. Instead, she was helping people who made money the hard way. One evening, after a long meeting, she asked something different. Why do you stay loyal to Jamin? I looked at her across the table. He gave me a place when I had none. That's gratitude, she said, not loyalty. There's a difference. Yeah, she said quietly. Gratitude keeps you alive. Loyalty keeps you dead. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep, but her gaze was steady, clear, like she saw more than most people ever would. You think I'm dead already? I asked. I think you're sleepwalking, she said. And one day you're going to wake up and realize the life you built isn't yours. I stood up. Finish the Jersey file by tomorrow. She nodded. I will. I left without another word, but her words stayed. 3 weeks in the routine cracked. Maya had become indispensable faster than anyone expected. She didn't just spot holes in contracts, she plugged them. She rewrote shipping manifests to bury beneficial ownership, deeper flagged routes that crossed too many customs checkpoints, even drafted non disclosure clauses so airtight that even a hostile judge would hesitate to pierce them. Jamin noticed. He started asking for her input, directly short clipped questions in Korean that I translated. She answered in English, calm, precise. He never smiled, but he never interrupted her either. That was dangerous. The Italians noticed too. We'd been careful, burner phones, encrypted drives, no names on paper, but nothing stays hidden forever in New York. Word leaked the Koreans had a young lawyer cleaning their trail, a lawyer who wasn't one of theirs, a loose end who knew too much. They decided to cut it. It happened on a Tuesday evening. I'd stepped out for a quick call with a Jersey supplier final drop details for the Thursday shipment. When I returned to the 28th floor, the hallway felt wrong, too quiet. The door to Maya's office was ajar. I drew the Glock, pushed the door open with my foot. Empty. Papers scattered across the floor like confetti. Laptop smashed, screen, cracked keys popped out, chair overturned, coffee mug shattered, dark liquid pooling on the carpet, a single sheet of printer paper taped to the broken monitor, black marker block letters. We have the girl, warehouse on Flushing Avenue, midnight, come alone or she dies. A photo was pinned beneath it. Maya, bound to a metal chair in what looked like an abandoned industrial space, eyes wide but not panicked, mouth taped, a fresh bruise blooming on her left cheekbone. Timestamp in the corner 1838, 4 minutes before my call ended. My blood turned to ice. I ripped the note off, pocketed the photo, and moved down the service stairs to the garage. Black SUV. Engine roared to life. I floored it toward Brooklyn. Rain started halfway across the bridge, heavy, angry sheets that turned the windshield into a smear. I didn't slow, knuckles white on the wheel. For the first time in a decade, something close to panic clawed at my chest. Not fear for myself, fear for her. Jamin called as I crossed into Brooklyn. They took her, I said before he could speak. I know. His voice was calm, too calm. The Italians. You going after her? Yes. Alone. Yes. Long silence on the line. Then, bring her back alive, Ethan. We still need her. I hung up without answering. Flushing Avenue was black when I arrived. The warehouse, an old meatpacking plant, squatted like a rusted corpse. Broken windows, faded sign half peeled off. The faint, lingering stink of blood and decay, even after years of abandonment. I parked a block away. Killed the lights, walked the rest under cover of darkness. 2 sentries at the side door, armed. A R-15S slung low. I didn't hesitate. 2 suppressed shots, thwip, thwip. Both dropped before they could raise their weapons. I stepped over the bodies and slipped inside. The interior was cavernous. High ceilings, concrete floors stained dark, rusted hooks still hanging from chains overhead, dim emergency lights through long shadows. Voices echoed from deeper in. I moved silently, gun raised, staying in the dark. Then I heard her. Maya's voice, calm, edged with steel. You're making a mistake. They'll come for me, and when they do, you won't walk away. A rough laugh, thick Italian accent. Sweetheart, we're counting on it. Your boyfriend shows up. We end him. Then we end you. 2 birds, 1 stone. I stepped into the open. 3 men, Maya tied to a chair in the center. No gag, they'd ripped it off, probably to hear her talk. Or scream. Her cheek was swollen, lip split. but her eyes were clear, focused. The leader turned first, saw me, smiled slow, confident. Ethan Reyes, right on time. I raised the gun. Let her go. He laughed again. Or what? You shoot all three of us before we shoot her. I didn't answer. I fired. First shot took the leader in the shoulder. He staggered back, gun dropping. The second man swung toward Maya. I put two in his chest before he could pull the trigger. He crumpled. The third panicked, tried to run toward the back exit. I shot him in the leg. He went down screaming, clutching his thigh. I crossed the room in 4 strides. Maya looked up at me. Took you long enough. I knelt, cut the zip ties with my knife. Plastic snapped. Her wrists were raw red rings where the ties had bitten. You okay? I asked. She stood, legs shaking but holding. I knew you'd come. I looked at her, really looked. Bruised, bleeding, but alive. Standing. Come on, I said. We're leaving. We moved fast. Sirens were already distant. Someone had heard the shots. I got her to the SUV, helped her into the passenger seat, and floored it. She didn't speak for the first few blocks, just stared out the window, breathing hard. Then she whispered, "They were going to kill me." I know. They said you'd come, that they wanted you here so they could end both of us. They miscalculated. She turned to look at me. You came alone. I did. Why, I kept my eyes on the road, because if they killed you, it would have been my fault. She reached over, placed her hand on my arm. It wasn't your fault I walked into that room. It was my fault you stayed alive this long. She squeezed. You saved me. You saved yourself, I said. You didn't panic. You talked, kept them distracted. She smiled, small, tired, real. Teamwork. I glanced at her. Yeah, teamwork. We didn't speak again until we reached the hotel. I took her straight to my room, not hers, mine. Safer. No one knew which floor I stayed on. No cameras in the private corridor. She sat on the edge of my bed. I grabbed the first aid kit from the bathroom, knelt in front of her. Let me see your face. She tilted her head. I cleaned the cut on her lip with antiseptic. She winced, but didn't pull away. Does it hurt? I asked. Less than it should. I dabbed at the bruise on her cheek. They hit you. They wanted information. I didn't give them any. I looked at her. You could have told them anything. I didn't. I finished cleaning the cut, applied a small bandage. Then I sat beside her on the bed. She leaned against my shoulder, just slightly, like she was testing if it was allowed. I didn't move away. Ethan, she said quietly. Yeah, I was scared. I know. But I wasn't scared of dying, she continued. I was scared you wouldn't come. I turned to her. I will always come. She looked up at me, eyes searching mine. Then she kissed me. It wasn't soft. It wasn't tentative. It was desperate relief. Fear, gratitude, everything crashing together. Her hands fisted in my shirt. Mine slid to her waist, pulling her closer. We broke apart only when we needed air. She rested her forehead against mine. Don't let me go. I won't. She kissed me again, slower this time, deeper. Clothes came off slowly, carefully, like we were both afraid the moment would shatter if we moved too fast. When we finally fell back onto the bed, tangled together, breathing hard, the room was quiet except for the rain tapping against the window. She rested her head on my chest, fingers tracing the scar on my ribs, an old wound from years ago. "You're not what I expected," she whispered. "Neither are you." She lifted her head. "What happens now?" "Now," I said, brushing hair from her face. "We figure out how to keep you alive, and maybe how to get out." She smiled, small, hopeful. Together, together, she kissed me once more, soft, certain. And for the first time in 10 years, I didn't feel like I was sleepwalking. I felt like I was finally awake. The days after the warehouse blurred into something new. Maya didn't go back to room 2107. She stayed in mine, not officially, not with words, just there. Her uniform was replaced by borrowed clothes, my shirt's sweatpants cinched tight at the waist. The bruise on her cheek faded from purple to yellow. The cut on her lip healed into a thin pink line. She still worked the files, but now she did it at the small desk in my sweet laptop open while I handled calls and meetings downstairs. Jamin never asked why she wasn't returned to the holding room. He didn't need to. He saw the shift, saw how she looked at me, saw how I looked at her. He didn't comment. He just started giving her more access to encrypted drives, questions about tax havens, advice on structuring new shell companies. She answered every time, sharp, clean, no hesitation, but the Italians weren't done. Word came through a contact in Brooklyn. They were regrouping. The three we dropped had been low level. The real players, older, meaner, were now involved. They wanted payback, not just for the bodies, for the humiliation, and they knew exactly who the weak point was. Maya, I doubled the security on our floor, extra men on the elevators, cameras looped, no one in or out without my say so. But I knew it wasn't enough. In this game, if someone wants you bad enough, they find a way. It happened on a Thursday night. I was in a meeting on the 29th floor when my phone buzzed burner line unknown caller. I stepped into the hallway to take it. A voice I didn't recognize. Thick accent. Calm. "We have people inside your hotel. Right now. They're going to her room. You have 10 minutes to get there before they take her again, or they finish what they started last time." The line went dead. I ran, service as stairs, three at a time, heart slamming against my ribs. I burst onto the 28th floor corridor empty. Too empty. I reached my door, keycard swiped, pushed inside. Maya was on the floor. Two men in black, one holding her wrists behind her back, zip ties half on, the other pressing a silenced pistol to her temple. She wasn't struggling, just staring straight ahead, breathing slow, controlled. They turned when I entered. The one with the gun smiled. "Right on time again, Reyes." I raised my own weapon, let her go. He pressed the barrel harder against her skin. "Drop it, or she's first." Maya's eyes met mine. No panic, just steady, like she'd already decided something. I lowered the gun slowly, set it on the floor, kicked it toward them. The man with the zip ties laughed. "Smart. Now get on your knees." I didn't move. Maya spoke it clear. "Ethan, don't." The gunman glanced down at her. "Shut up." She didn't. "You're making the same mistake twice. You think he'll let you walk out with me? He won't, and neither will I." She twisted sharp, sudden. Elbow drove into the man's throat. He choked, grip loosening. She rolled free, grabbed the fallen zip ties, whipped them around his wrist like a garrote. The gunman swung toward her. I moved, closed the distance in 2 strides, grabbed his wrist, twisted. The pistol clattered. I drove my knee into his gut, then slammed his head against the wall. He dropped. Maya had the other man pinned zip ties tight around his neck, knee, and his back. He was gasping, face red. I zip tied both of them, hands behind backs, ankles bound, gags from torn pillowcases. Then I looked at her. She was breathing hard, eyes bright, no tears, no shaking. You okay? I asked. She nodded. You, yeah. She looked at the 2 men on the floor, then at me. They're not going to stop. I know. She stepped closer. Then we need to stop them. I met her eyes. She said. I'm not waiting in a room anymore. I'm done being the liability. I studied her, bruised but unbroken, smart, calm under fire. The same clarity I'd seen the first night she walked into the wrong room. Okay, I said. She reached up, touched the side of my face, fingers cool against my skin. But first, she whispered, we need to get out of here, for good. I didn't answer with words. I just pulled her close and kissed her hard, urgent, like we were stealing time we might not have again. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine. Together, she asked. Together, outside the city lights glittered like they always had, but tonight they looked different, like the beginning of an exit. The rain had stopped by the time we left the Hudson Imperial for the last time. It was 3 months after the second attempt on Maya's life. 3 months of planning and whispers, moving pieces in the dark, turning every weakness into leverage. Jamin didn't let people walk away. Not cleanly. But I had spent 10 years learning every route, every account, every quiet deal he'd ever made. I had recordings, names, numbers, enough to bury him if he pushed, enough to buy silence if he didn't. We met one night in a private room at a quiet restaurant in Koreatown. No guards, just the 2 of us, dim lights, a bottle of whiskey between us. He poured slowly, looked at me for a long time. You're sure? He asked. I'm sure. He raised his glass, then go. But remember, if you ever need me, I won't. He smiled small, almost fond. You say that now. I left with his blessing. Rare, expensive, final. Maya and I didn't run far, just far enough. I started a security consulting firm, private protection for executives, corporate risk assessments, clean contracts. Nothing flashy, nothing dirty. Maya became the legal backbone, full time, official. She passed the bar on her first try, top percentile. She could have walked into any midtown firm and taken the partner track. Instead, she chose this. Chose us. We rented a small loft in Chelsea. Nothing luxurious, just high enough for a view of the Hudson, quiet enough to hear ourselves think. No bodyguards, no encrypted drives, no guns in the nightstand. Just us. Some nights we still talked about it. Like the evening we sat on the rooftop terrace, wine glasses in hand, city lights glittering below like scattered stars. Maya leaned against the railing. I stood behind her arms, around her waist, chin on her shoulder. Remember the first time I saw you? She asked. Hard to forget. She laughed softly. I walked into the wrong room with an empty tray, walked out with a life sentence. You walked out alive, I said, because of you, because you didn't panic. She turned in my arms, looked up at me. You could have let them kill me. It would have been cleaner. I couldn't. Why not? I brushed a strand of hair from her face. Because the second you stepped through that door, something changed. I didn't know what it was yet. I just knew I wasn't going to let them take it. She smiled small, real the kind that still caught me off guard after all this time. You saved me, she said. You saved me right back. We stood there a long time, just holding each other, watching the city breathe below us. Later in bed, she traced the scar on my ribs, the old one from years before she knew me. You ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't walked into that room? She asked, every day, and I'd still be sleepwalking, still carrying other people's sins, still thinking that was all there was. She pressed her lips to the scar. And now I wake up next to you. She lifted her head, cheesy. True, she kissed me, slow, certain, like we had all the time in the world. And maybe we did. The firm grew quietly. We hired two more people, both ex military, both clean. Maya handled every contract personally. No loopholes, no gray areas. We turned down jobs that smelled wrong. We built something real. One night, after closing a big protection deal for a tech CEO during a merger, Maya came home with Thai takeout from the place down the block. She set the bags on the counter and looked at me. I got an offer today. I paused, chopsticks halfway to my mouth. From who? Big firm, midtown, partner track, six figures, the dream package. I set the food down. What'd you say? I said I'd think about it. I nodded slowly. You should take it. She laughed. You're supposed to fight for me to stay. I want you to have what you want. She walked over, sat on my lap, arms around my neck. What if what I want is this us? The firm, the life we're building, not some corner office with my name on the door. I looked at her. You sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I kissed her deep, grateful, then stay. She smiled against my lips. Deal. We ate on the couch, legs tangled, talking about nothing important. Later, when the city lights were the only thing left on, she fell asleep against my chest. I watched her for a long time. A girl had walked into the wrong room once, and somehow, against every rule, every instinct, every reason, it should have ended in blood, she had stayed, and I had let her, no more than that. I had chosen her, and she had chosen me back. Sometimes love starts with a mistake, a wrong door, a single moment that should have been the end, but wasn't. It was the beginning. And lying there with her breathing soft against my skin, I finally understood something I'd never believed in before. Redemption isn't something you earn, it's something you choose every day. I was choosing her every single day. But across the city, in a quiet office on the 29th floor of the Hudson Imperial, Jamin still kept one file open on his desk, my name on it, and a single line highlighted, if he ever comes back, let him. The door was closed, but it wasn't locked, not yet.